You know that humble garden compost heap? Food scraps, withered leaves, maybe some manure, all just sort of slowly transforming.
Mhm.
It's not exactly glamorous, right? But what if that simple act of managing waste in our gardens actually held like profound wisdom,
Right, yeah.
mirroring ancient alchemy, deep mythology, and even maybe the secrets to our own psychological transformation?
It's a fascinating thought.
So today we're exploring the alchemy of rot, trying to connect the really mundane act of composting to these, well, powerful life lessons, spiritual truths, psychological stuff.
What's truly fascinating here is that paradox, isn't it? You got the alchemist, intently working over a crucible,
Mm-hmm.
and then the gardener carefully turning a compost pile.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically engaged in the same ancient mystery deep down.
Okay.
They're fundamentally transmuting what's seen as lowly and base into something of imperishable value.
Right, so lead into gold for one.
Exactly. For one, it was the dream of gold.
Yeah.
For the other, it's the fertility of the earth, that rich soil.
Ah,
And it reveals a really universal lesson. Life itself thrives on finding value hidden in what we, normally call refuse.
hmm.
It's the profound truth that death and rot aren't just an ending, but they're actually the very womb of renewal.
The womb of renewal. I like that.
So we'll get into how this incredibly humble process connects to these deeper spiritual and psychological truths that honestly resonate across all human experience.
Okay, so let's dive right into that core alchemical parallel then. We're talking, like you said, the alchemist turning lead into gold
Yep.
and the gardener turning waste into rich, life-giving soil. But maybe for those of us who aren't, up on our alchemy, why was lead considered so base and
Mhm.
gold so prized? What made them such powerful symbols?
Well, in alchemical thinking, lead was, heavy, it was dull. It was directly linked with Saturn,
Okay.
which symbolized mortality, limitation, the sort of earthly impermanent side of things. It was really the epitome of density and decay.
Right, the heavy stuff.
Exactly. Gold, though, on the other hand, was revered because it lasts. It never tarnishes. It glows with this radiant, incorruptible light, like the sun. It represented permanence,
Yeah.
purity.
Yeah. Okay.
So the ambition to turn lead into gold, it wasn't just about getting rich. It was deeply spiritual.
Right.
It symbolized transforming the lowest bits of matter, and by extension the human soul, into the highest state possible. It implied nothing was beyond redemption.
So even the darkest stuff holds a spark of light.
Precisely. If even the densest, darkest matter contained that spark, then, well, anything was possible in terms of transformation.
It's actually pretty wild that, modern particle accelerators can technically turn lead atoms into gold.
Right. It's
Wow.
impractical, insanely expensive, fleeting.
Yeah, you're not going to get rich doing it.
Definitely not. But it's like this little scientific nod to that symbolic truth,
Right.
That potential for light is physically there deep down.
Wow.
And the parallel to the compost heap, I mean, they couldn't be more direct. Think about what goes in there.
Yeah, food scraps, spoiled fruit.
Withered stalks,
Mhm.
manure, all the stuff we'd normally just toss out as refuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yet these exact materials contain the potential to become the richest, most life-giving soil you can imagine.
Right. It's not instant, though.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And just like the alchemists had their precise recipes, careful balance of heat, moisture, time,
Mm.
the gardener understands the ratios needed for their crucible.
Yeah.
Roughly half greens for nitrogen.
Like grass clippings, kitchen scraps.
Exactly. And half browns for carbon leaves, straw, cardboard.
Got it.
They mix these seemingly, totally different things together in this kind of steaming vessel of decay.
And then wait.
And wait. And out of that blackened, seemingly, well, ignoble mass comes humus.
Humus.
The dark goals of the earth. A substance that really never tarnishes and endlessly renews itself. It's living, practical alchemy happening right in our backyards.
That is a really powerful way to see it, framing that everyday process through such an ancient lens. Okay, so beyond the heat that naturally builds up in a compost pile, I'm curious about literal fire. Does it have a place in this alchemy of rot? Is there a way fire itself refines these materials?
Oh, absolutely. And this is where that metaphor of the alchemical furnace becomes wonderfully literal. We're talking about biochar.
Biochar. Okay, what is that exactly?
So biochar is made through a process called pyrolysis. It's basically slowly burning agricultural waste, like wood chips, corn stalks, that kind of thing, but crucially, without much oxygen.
So it doesn't just burn up into ash?
Exactly. It chars it rather than burning it completely. And this isn't some new tech, it's ancient. Think of the terra preta soils down in the Amazon.
Oh, right, the super fertile black earth.
That's the one. Indigenous communities there figured out how to create this incredibly rich, dark earth that could sustain crops for, well, centuries.
Wow. And biochar is key to that.
It seems to be. What's really remarkable is how it locks carbon into the soil for potentially hundreds, even thousands of years. Plus, it boosts fertility, helps retain nutrients and water. It makes the land vastly more fertile and resilient.
So fire isn't just destroying, it's refining.
Precisely. Fire refines, purifies, and it transfigures what would otherwise just be smoke or ash into something enduring and incredibly nourishing for the soil.
Okay, so destruction isn't always the end. It can be a passage, leaving something better behind. But I mean, connecting that to the soul, that feels like a big jump. How does literal fire translate into a spiritual lesson about suffering?
That's a really important point to clarify. The spiritual lesson is potent, but it's metaphorical, right? The fires of suffering, crisis, loss, they can feel totally consuming, like everything's turning to ash.
Yeah, they definitely can.
But if we can somehow navigate them, if we can endure that intense heat without just collapsing,
Yeah.
they can yield a more stable, a more resilient form of the soul.
Okay, how so?
Think about the biochar again. It becomes incredibly porous after the fire. It can hold more nutrients, more water within its structure. So maybe a soul transformed through adversity becomes more capable of holding more life, more wisdom, more light. Its capacity increases. It's about how these intense experiences, if we hold them rightly, meaning we process them, understand them, integrate them somehow.
Instead of just being consumed by them.
Right. They can forge a deeper foundation for growth. It's transforming what feels like an ending into a more enduring capacity for life.
That makes a lot more sense. A deeper capacity. And this idea isn't new, is it? Transformation through descent, through breakdown.
Yeah.
It's all over our stories.
Oh, completely. It's deeply embedded in human history and storytelling.
Yeah.
So when we connect this to the bigger picture, how do myths illustrate this cycle of decay and renewal? What stories echo this?
Yeah, what are some examples?
Well, you look at ancient Egypt, you have Osiris, slain, body scattered. Yet he rises again from the fertile silt of the Nile. His very form becomes the fertility of Egypt.
Right.
Or think of the Inanna, the Sumerian goddess. She goes down into the underworld. She's stripped, humiliated, killed, hung on a hook.
Very grim.
Extremely grim. But she returns. And not just returns, she restores the land's fertility, brings new order.
Okay.
And then, of course, you have the Christian story of Christ, often described as the seed that falls into the ground and dies.
Only to rise into new life.
Exactly. Multiplying, bringing abundance. Even Persephone, dwelling in Hades, part of the year her return, each spring, is the blossoming of the earth.
So all these stories, they share this common thread. Descent into darkness, maybe decay, but followed by rebirth or renewal.
Precisely. They all teach that what's cast down isn't just wasted. The underworld, symbolically speaking, it's never just a landfill where things are discarded forever.
It's more like a transformation chamber.
That's a great way to put it. It's consistently shown as the womb of transformation, the place where things break down so they can be rebuilt, renewed, or bring forth new life.
Wow.
And here's the amazing part. Composting is basically this myth enacted every day. In backyards, on farms, on the forest floor. It is the phoenix's pyre, quite literally, except instead of just ashes, you get humus.
So it's tangible proof of these ancient truths.
Right before our eyes, yeah.
Okay, that's powerful. So if this cycle happens in our gardens, and it's embedded in our foundational myths, what does it mean for us, for our inner lives? You mentioned psychic scraps or the shadow. How do we apply this composting idea inwardly?
Yeah, moving to the inner world. This is where it gets really personal and maybe challenging.
How so?
Well, think about psychological composting. All those rejected pieces of ourselves, maybe shame about something we did or rage we suppress, fears, insecurities, these are our psychic scraps.
The stuff we'd rather not look at.
Exactly. Things we'd rather discard, bury, pretend don't exist. Maybe it's a past mistake you keep replaying with regret, or a fear that just freezes you up sometimes.
Okay.
So instead of trying to throw them away, the idea of the compost heap of the soul suggests we need to actually turn toward them. Consciously fold them in. Give them the air of acceptance, the time of reflection.
That sounds difficult. Isn't there a risk? Like if you turn toward your rage or shame, you just end up dwelling on it, making it worse?
That's a really valid concern, and it has to be approached mindfully. It's not about dwelling on negativity in a destructive loop. It's more about attending to these parts with curiosity.
Attending. Okay.
Yeah, acknowledging they're part of the whole picture, rather than letting them fester in isolation, walled off in the dark. It's about integration, not obsession.
So the goal isn't to eliminate the shadow parts, but to embrace them, integrate them into who we are consciously. That feels like really deep work.
It is. It's profound work. And the idea is that only then, through this process of careful turning and tending this conscious engagement, do these rejected aspects actually transmute.
They don't just disappear.
No, they transform. They become the fertility for wisdom, for compassion, for resilience. Think about it. The alchemist's dream of incorruptible gold. It's not so different from our own deep longing for wholeness, right?
Mm-hmm. A self that doesn't tarnish easily.
Exactly. A spirit that can shine steadily even through life's inevitable difficulties. But, and this is the key lesson from alchemy, composting, and myth alike, you can't bypass the dung heap to get there.
You can't skip the rot.
You cannot skip the rot. It's the rot that ripens us, both literally in the garden and metaphorically in the soul.
Wow. Okay. That's a thought to sit with. So bringing it all together then, what practical wisdom can we really pull from all these connections for our daily lives? What are the key takeaways from this alchemy of rot?
Yeah, the practical side, there are some really invaluable lessons for living that come out of this great alchemy. First, I'd say patience, especially patience through the messy parts.
The blackening stage, you meant.
Exactly, the nigredo in alchemy. That initial decay, that dark, sometimes kind of putrid breakdown, it's absolutely essential for transformation. We have to allow ourselves and our experiences the time needed for that rot.
So it's not just waiting, it's trusting the process even when it's ugly.
Precisely. Trusting that even in moments of despair or chaos or confusion, something essential is being broken down so it can be rebuilt. Just like the compost pile, quietly doing its magic, preparing for new life. You just can't rush the soul's deepest work.
That perspective on the blackening, the dark times, that really lands. Okay, what else?
Second, balance. We touched on this with the compost ingredients. Too many greens, too many browns. It spoils the heap. The ratios have to be right.
Right.
And it's the same in life, isn't it? We need to find balance between activity and rest, sorrow and joy, thinking and doing.
So if you're always on or always stuck in one feeling...
You prevent that breakdown and transformation.
Yeah.
Neglecting one side creates an imbalance, just like an untended pile goes sour or cold and nothing happens.
That makes perfect sense. And you mentioned humility earlier.
Yes, third, humility. The alchemist didn't conjure gold just by commanding it, right? And soil certainly doesn't get enriched just because our ego wants it to.
Right.
We participate, sure. We turn the pile, we tend our inner landscape, but the real heavy lifting, the real transformation is done by forces often beyond our immediate sight or control.
Microbes, fungi.
Microbes, fungi, the chemistry of fire, maybe even spirit, depending on your perspective. To live alchemically means living in trust of the unseen, recognizing we're part of something bigger, more miraculous.
Letting go of needing total control.
Exactly, and honoring the wisdom that's already inherent in the process, in the natural order of things.
Okay. Patience, balance, humility. Is there a fourth?
I think the natural outcome is gratitude. Fourth, gratitude. Think about eating vegetables from a garden fed by your own compost.
Yeah.
You're tasting a mystery, aren't you? Yesterday's scraps, things you might have just thrown away, have become today's vibrant nourishment. That's a little miracle.
It really is when you put it like that.
And to live from that gold of the spirit, metaphorically, means recognizing that yesterday's wounds, our own personal scraps and rot, they can become today's deepest compassion, our most resilient strength, our unique wisdom.
It changes how you see your past struggles.
Completely.
Yeah.
It transforms what we might have seen as waste in our lives into something incredibly valuable.
What an incredible journey we've taken. Seriously, from a humble compost heap all the way to ancient myths and deep psychological insights. It's just such a powerful reminder, isn't it, that the compost heap, the alchemist's crucible, the cauldron, and the myths, they're all teaching the same core truth. Nothing is truly wasted. Life is always, always born from death, from decay.
Indeed. So our task then maybe isn't to run away from the rot, not to shy away from decay or our own inner shadows.
But to tend it.
Yes, to tend it, to honor it, and to allow its hidden fire, its transformative power to work upon us. That is the great alchemy.
Finding gold from lead.
Fertility from dung.
Wisdom from shadow.
Exactly. And to embrace this whole cycle is maybe how we live in rhythm with the cosmos itself, how we consciously participate in that eternal dance of rotten radiance, dung and divinity, decay and renewal.
Something for all of us to think about maybe next time we pass a compost bin or find ourselves in one of those messy, blackening moments.
Definitely something to reflect on.